Have you ever wondered why work feels like a trap? Why the same routine grips millions day after day? That 9 to 5 grind you can't stand. It's on everyone's lips, but its origins hide a dark past. Picture 16-hour workdays, children in chains, factories soaked in sweat, the constant roar of machines drowning every cry for relief. Imagine the smell of soot and molten metal, the heat pressing down on every worker, the relentless rhythm of assembly lines marking the passage of life itself. It all started there, in the heart of the Industrial Revolution, and from those smoke-filled factories, the system spread across continents. Today, in the modern era, cracks are appearing in this centuries-old framework. The 1800s were a world transformed by machinery. Fields once full of crops became massive factories, churning out products for an ever-growing demand. Workers endured 16-hour days, 6 days a week, with exhaustion, injuries, and despair lurking in every corner. In England's factories, children as young as 9 years old were forced to operate deadly machinery, sometimes losing fingers, limbs, or even lives, all for the sake of profit. Families relied on every coin earned, yet the human cost was staggering, often invisible to the public eye. Accidents were daily occurrences. One wrong move could mean death or permanent disability. The air was thick with smoke and dust. Heat from furnaces seared skin, and hunger gnawed at the stomachs of laborers who barely had time to eat. Labor exploitation wasn't an abstract concept. It was the harsh reality of millions. Yet, society often turned a blind eye. Wealthy factory owners prospered while workers' cries went unheard. A glimmer of hope came in 1833, with Britain's Factory Acts, which limited children's work hours and mandated safer conditions. Across the Atlantic, however, U.S. steel mills continued operating 100-hour weeks, pushing workers to their absolute limits. The 1919 Boston police strike erupted, a bloody rebellion that failed but shook the very foundations of a system that relied on human endurance as currency. From this chaos, a question began to emerge. Could humans ever reclaim control over their time? Amid this upheaval, a man named Henry Ford emerged in 1914, introducing 8-hour workdays and 40-hour weeks. His motivation? Not generosity, but profit and efficiency. Workers who were well-rested produced more, made fewer mistakes, and were less likely to quit. Ford's assembly line innovation revolutionized manufacturing, prompting competitors to follow suit. Before Ford, dividing life into work, rest, and leisure was almost unheard of for industrial laborers. A factory worker in 1910 could spend up to 70 grueling hours per week performing repetitive, dangerous tasks. Injuries were common, exhaustion constant. Ford didn't simply cut hours. He engineered a workforce optimized for productivity. By 1940, the 8-hour day became the norm in the U.S., with Canada following suit. The slogan, 8 hours work, 8 hours sleep, 8 hours play, promised balance. But in reality, stress, monotony, and fatigue remained omnipresent. Bureaucracy and oversight had turned humans into machine-like cogs, their creativity and spirit often suppressed. Labor unions began to rise, advocating for fair wages, safer working conditions, and reasonable hours. Governments implemented labor laws, safety standards, and minimum wage protections, slowly improving workers' lives. Yet the skeleton of the 9-to-5 system endured, dominating the 20th century and shaping the world we know today. 9-to-5 had conquered the globe, but its effects weren't uniform. Then came the COVID-19 pandemic, a seismic event that reshaped the workplace. Offices emptied virtually overnight. Remote work proved that results mattered more than hours spent sitting at a desk. Stanford University reported that by 2025, only 12% of companies plan to enforce full office returns, with many workers ready to quit rather than comply. Yet, traditional work models cling on stubbornly. Studies reveal that 45% of U.S. employees admit to only 4 hours of real effort in an 8-hour day, exposing systemic inefficiencies and disengagement. Flexibility has become a universal demand. 42% of workers would accept a 10% pay cut to continue remote work. The old guard bosses resist, but the 9-to-5 framework is fracturing globally. Countries are experimenting with new models. Japan's 4-day workweek trial boosted productivity by 40%. Iceland implemented 35 to 36-hour work weeks without pay reductions, leading unions to celebrate shorter shifts. Belgium legalized a 4-day workweek in 2022, protecting pay, while Portugal, Sweden, and Germany pilot alternative schedules. Meanwhile, the gig economy explodes, with predictions that most Americans will freelance by 2027. The trap is cracking. The 4-day week is no longer a dream, it's reality. Flexible schedules, compressed work weeks, and output-driven models challenge traditional office rigidity. Companies experiment with anchor days, core hours, and results-based pay, transforming how work is structured and measured. However, this transformation isn't universal. Essential services, customer-facing roles, and entrenched management still cling to 9-to-5. The tension between tradition and innovation is palpable. Consumers demand 24/7 responses, pushing companies toward hybrid, flexible, and freelance models. Remote work is no longer a perk, it's a necessity. The shift is happening faster than many expected, and the world is relearning what work means. From 16-hour nightmares to 4-day dreams, the dark secret of 9-to-5 is finally exposed, a profit-driven trap now showing its cracks. The world is breaking these chains, yet the story is far from over. In this video, we've taken the first steps toward understanding, uncovering history, and exposing modern transformations. If this stirred you, hit that like button, subscribe for the next journey, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment below. 4-day week or gig life? Share your thoughts. Your freedom is closer than you think. The adventure continues, and the secrets will be revealed.